So let's face it, the world has pretty much gone HD, and what segments of television have not gone HD will very soon. iTunes and Netflix and other companies that even distribute video over the internet are even now streaming HD video. I actually have a Netflix video player that streams HD video. It looks phenomenal. So it's only a matter of time before everything is all HD all the time. So I want to just talk a little bit about some of the HD standards. When we're working in standard definition video, it's pretty simple. After a while, they started coming out with widescreen and full screen, but the pixel counts were the same. The only thing that changed were the pixel aspect ratios. But now that HD has entered the mix, there's a whole slew of formats and sizes. So let's talk about those a little bit. Again, as a teaching tool, I'm going to go and create a brand new sequence so we can look at these settings here. We know that we have standard DV. These are standard SD formats. One of them that's not listed here is EDTV. We know that we have SDTV, standard definition. We have HDTV, high definition. But there's also EDTV, which is enhanced definition TV. Essentially, that's the standard NTSC pixel count with a 720 by 480, but it also has progressive frames and not interlaced frames, so it's often seen as 480p. Now, one of the things that's good to pay attention to are all these crazy numbers is that these are the number of vertical lines. And so we have 480 vertical lines, and so SD is now referred to as 480i, and the I refers to interlaced frames, P refers to progressive frames. So 480i is SD, 480p is EDTV, as mentioned. And I mentioned that because the Nintendo Wii is so popular, and more people are creating games from scratch using Flash. My brother Todd has created Linda titles on creating Wii games in Flash and creating video and watching video on the Wii. It's good to know those frame rates. And actually, not just the frame rates, but the sizes, the dimensions, and all that kind of stuff. So then we move up to 720p. So that's 720 vertical lines, and that resolution is 1280 by 720. And note that it has a square pixel aspect ratio. Now, while this is considered HD, true HD is actually 1920 by 1080. Now, HDV, as you can see here, is 1440 by 1080. That's not what we're looking for. And so we need to actually move up to an HD standard here. 1080p, for example, in AVC HD is 1920 by 1080 with square pixels. So this is true HD. It should also be noted that 1080i is also considered HD, but for the ultimate HD experience, it's really 1080p. That's 1920 by 1080 pixels with progressive frames. Because of the increase in quality when using progressive frames, a lot of people feel that 720p is about the same quality as 1080i, even though there are fewer pixels. Personally, I prefer 720p. It's nice and clean. I love working with progressive frames. The farther away we get from SD, the easier our lives as editors are. The more we can get rid of weird pixel aspect ratios, and the more we can get rid of interlaced frames and all that junk, get it out of the way. And the new HD progressive formats, although it's a little bit more taxing because there's more pixels, they take away a lot of those issues that we had to deal with SD. Now, I should also point out here, as demonstrated by the AVC HD presets, that there are different frame rates for HD. HD, unlike SD, allows 24 frames per second, 30 frames per second, and 60 frames per second. And for PAL, it also allows for 25 frames per second and 50 frames per second. I should also point out that in some technical writings, frame rate is referred to as hertz. So as you see something like 720p 60 hertz, what it's saying is it's 720p video, it's 60 frames per second. Now, one final note as we are looking at these presets here, I feel impressed to tell you that if we go over to the General tab and you go to the editing mode, we can see that there are more editing modes here and other presets here that we don't see in the sequence presets. Say, for example, Red Cinema here, which I don't believe is in the available presets area. No, it's not. So we can have Red Cinema, which is getting wildly popular, and we'll see much more of in the future to be sure. And it also pays to note that because of the Red camera, which is increasing in popularity, and the Red camera allows you to go bigger than HD. It allows film sizes of 2K and 4K, which is basically 2,000 pixels and 4,000 pixels respectively. And also because Red is introducing the new sensor that they're coming out with, it goes up to like 20 something K, so 20 something thousand pixels for their Epic cameras. And so that's going to be a big deal. It's no wonder that Adobe's already announced that CS5 will be 64-bit native, so you could have more RAM to be able to process all these huge frames that are coming out. But as far as HD video goes, those are the standards. Who knows what the future holds as far as 2K and 4K and whatever else beyond that. But as for right now, those are the standards for HD.